showdown. T1 대 하나생명 e스포츠.
All T1 need to do to win this series is to draft not like that.
Yep.
Because the cost of that Orianna pick was quite hefty, and then it was the other pieces they went for that just did not work out.
Yep.
We'll see a completely different draft now because it is Fearless, but let's see what their read is, because I don't want to overstate it, but you know, weak drafting is what cost them Hong Kong, and that's the last time we saw them. It's that series against D+, and well, in game one here, we're like, well, I don't know.
We'll just have to see how they right the ship, as the Brad Rumble have been taken away. The Aurora Karma also going to leave. And just to leave it as a bookend to that last series, I would like to quote Jamie on Reddit, who just said, "You've just got to put in a bit of effort and you can do anything." And I just think it's such a beautiful line. It really does sum up what KT did today in game number one. And it might all just go out the window in game number two, as T1 are a team that are very well known for turning things around. But we'll just have to see, as they are going to ban away the Yone from BDD. Let's see what the final ban is going to be here for KT, as I assume...
They could just ban Azir if they want.
I think looking for a bird is probably what they were considering, and there it is going to go.
So is it just Owner Xin first pick? It's for safety? I don't think so, but...
They could. I mean, it's probably the next best thing at this point in time in the jungle. The Vi is another one. That one snuck through the ban list. This time it was banned in game number one.
Now, if they try to go Vi Ahri, Lissandra is pretty good right now.
Ooh, true.
And we have seen BDD play it to great success in the past, so something to think about a little bit here. As
I mean, both Faker and
or
BDD
just go Yunara Lulu.
Yep, Yunara Lulu would certainly fit the bill. They're going to lock in the Nocturne first, though, for Cuz.
I wonder if T1 can deny the Lulu here somehow.
I mean, you certainly could just pick, like, a Felios Lulu if you wanted to. If the Lulu really was a priority, you could even pick Zeri. Like, there are plenty of things to play alongside it.
I just don't know if Corki Nami is going to be enough necessarily, especially because you are playing a dive composition. Now, it's really easy to follow up on the Vi with the Nami.
This is also a very winning lane that they've picked up here, and the Yunara does prefer to scale a little bit. The Yunara Lulu will come through, which will allow them to have a little bit more staying power, but...
It's about how you play the lane, because we have also seen this be a very losing lane into Yunara Lulu as well.
True. I mean, if Yunara ever gets control of a wave, she can just kind of do crazy things. Also, Effort was like... I swear to God, he's got like 4,000 games on Lulu. This guy has played a lot of this champion. I will have to, you know, test myself to see exactly how many he has. I'm going to say that while Wolf is checking himself.
Yeah, I'm just, you know, looking at my brain that's indexed.
Like, it's got to be in his top 5 most played at least, right?
It is not. He has 20 games of Lulu played. He's 50-50.
What the heck? Wow. Well, I'm just a complete liar. So I apologize.
It is his 9th most played.
9th most played is not where I was expecting.
But it's very much in this top, like, you know, 25% of.
Is that everything?
All career.
Really? Wow.
His #1 played is Nautilus at 78, which shouldn't come to a surprise of anyone.
Yeah, that's a really good point. All right, well, not as much of a Lulu aficionado. I guess when he was playing for T1, it was Faker playing Lulu all the time. It's all right. The Ahri going to be taken away to deny the Vi Ahri combination. There is the Na, so obviously they would like a
I wonder if there's a pick here that T1 can find that would make aiming take cleanse. Because if he has barrier in this lane, I think he's very happy to play the 2v2. Galio and Ahri are taken away. 2 great champions to follow up on Vi dive.
Well, Galio, and now the final ban here from T1.
But T1 are making it pretty apparent they want to play Renekton.
Indeed.
Which makes a lot of sense. All threats onto this Yunara are going to be... Took away 2 blindable top lanes, I suppose you could say.
There you go.
So that Faker can get counter pick, maybe, is the...
I mean, he's likely to get counter pick anyway. All right, we'll just have to see what Perfect is going to do to whatever Doran has decided to play towards that top side.
There's no way he's actually playing Aurelion Sol. He could play something like Smolder mid or something crazy like that. Mel?
Annie?
Oh, Annie actually really fits the bill here.
Yeah, I kind of like the Annie.
Annie's one of those picks that is really strong right now, but kind of on the edge of the meta that you kind of forget about, and then when it gets slammed down, you're like, oh my god, it's always the Giga Annie angle.
Yeah, and it was sort of creeping in at the end of the LCK Cup, and then after a few patches where other mid laners kind of got toned down, she was certainly feeling a little bit more powerful. We did see her a fair bit in the in first stand, of course.
Victor does not inspire confidence in this draft. I do not like the Victor. The Cassante is very safe.
I think Cassante's fine. I think there are certainly options into it, but it's hard to like counter a Cassante who will just kind of do his job later on into the game.
But he also often just relinquishes prio by default. When you have Annie in a lane where she can do well, we don't know what that matchup is going to be, but she does well in a lot of lanes, then you have prio to get this Nocturne through his pre-6 stages.
Yeah.
Taliyah.
Taliyah going to be the thought, and Taliyah Vi certainly is a pretty dangerous combination. But I haven't really been a huge fan of Taliyah more recently, but we know that Faker has done some amazing things on it as, okay, perfect, he's just going to lock the Vayne.
I really liked this draft for KT until that moment.
Yep. Yeah, he was watching Kane and he was like, I am inspired. And that was not my reaction.
I'll give you my pick, which probably won't come to a shock as a shock to anybody who watched the show earlier. I think Shen goes super hard here.
I thought Jax would have been fine.
Jax is fine. I mean, imagine being able to join every single team fight, but also being able to be an additional way to empower the Yunara in team fights, because...
Imagine having a Shen delivery system in like a turn the lights off and then boom, there's a ninja.
Yeah.
That would have been pretty cool. Instead, I mean, you can at least go invisible.
Well, look, he's got prio.
True.
Okay, yeah, Wadid is right.
Yeah. Perfect is like, I almost perfect game T1. Let me do it. Let me do it, Wadid.
I was actually my personal addition to Wadid's lesson plan. I was like, please mention this as well. Because I was like, this has got to be discussed. And then here we are.
Well, maybe Perfect can show us exactly why Keen picked it against G2 and they lost. Maybe there's an option there. It was in this exact same matchup as well. And Broken Blade actually did very, very well in it. We'll just have to see whether Doran is able to do the same thing as we are under the rift here for game number 2.
Right, said level 1s aren't a thing, and BDD and Faker said, hold my summoner spells.
Well, flash out already as they see BDD. Faker comes on over as well. That is going to be the Q connecting here from BDD to start things off, as Keria could be in a little bit of trouble. Aiming has that Q charged up, and Pays also going to have to back away.
Massive win here in the bottom lane for KT Rolster.
I mean, you can press W over and over again, so at least Keria might be able to get some health bar back, but no flash?
No heal either, and Aiming did take barrier because this draft didn't force him onto the cleanse. BD lost his stun, so that's something. That's something in the cons column for that play bottom side.
Yep, few seconds he will be able to throw out enough Qs to get that one back again, but now KT moving towards T1 here, towards the bottom side, and we mentioned it already. You get control of the wave as Yunara, and you are just off to the races.
That's why Faker and BDD came, because T1 are like, we cannot let him get control, and BDD is like, we need to get control.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened down there on the bottom side.
Well, Perfect is going to make sure that Doran cannot lane.
I guess after watching how the lane went in game 1, Perfect is like, give me the Vayne, and
yeah,
who can blame him? I mean,
he's already in a I am destroying this lane mindset. You may as well continue, as the Slurkle is going to go wide.
Yeah, that's a little painful for Aiming there. Well, ultimately not matter too much because Keria was planning on backing either way. But now Cuz is like, I'm Nocturne pre-6 and I'm not afraid. I actually have so much control here and have vision. He's even going to go over here and try to stay as Nocturne, steal away the blue buff.
I mean, Owner is just not quite here in time.
It's just not fair because Keria isn't here. It's just, he's not here in time, can't smite for this, and they pull it back, and now he is going to have to leave.
Yep, Owner has to get out of there. That should mean that Cuz can also collect the Gromp. He also hit the Dustbringer onto Owner and blind over the wall. It's all just going a little bit pear-shaped here, as Owner at least does have Smite, so he should be able to take this Gromp away. It's not going to be going over to Cuz, although Cuz does have the cooldown back up again. Wasn't quite able to win out the battle.
Missing some minions.
And all the while, Aiming sticks around in lane, and so is able to continue finding success as Owner takes another Dustbringer, Cuz just tracking him all over the map. That does mean the Rift Scuttler going to go over to Cuz on the bottom side, and Owner will be able to get his on the top side of the map. So not end of the world, but still KT just going from strength to strength. I imagine that Perfect probably wants to back away, knowing that there is a Vi on his side of the map.
It's pretty tricky to... Let's see. Okay, I'm going to hold my thought on this one. Pretty tricky for Owner to actually secure this buff because Vayne has insane prio. So yeah, he's just going to drop a ward, and we'll know Cuz's pathing, which he, I think, is pretty aware of right now.
Yep. He is moving over to the vicinity, but
Cuz did, you know, he doesn't have his smite back, and Owner didn't have to use this. So, boy.
Great shove. There's the flash in from Owner. Flash out from BDD.
The shield.
Golden shield, but there's first blood from Faker. Throws a rock on over, and that is T1 off to a much better start.
Did cost them 2 flashes, but 100% worth it. Faker now in a pretty significant lead in the mid lane, and they are definitely going to call worth on that one.
Oh, yeah.
Much needed pick there, and BDD unfortunately just gets caught by the charged Q. Flash, great from Owner.
It's going to be very important that T1 translates that advantage elsewhere on the map, though, because you can see Cuz is really starting to take over, and has his smite available. Owner also has his. Fear Tether not quite going to work out there, as Owner will be able to secure a bunch of the Raptors.
I mean, he's up on farm now. He also got that kill. He's ahead on experience. I think he's kind of in the clear now.
Yeah.
I think he's gotten through the toughest part of the game state they were in.
Oh, Paze could be in a little bit of trouble here as Aiming trying to move forward, but the circle doesn't work, but the bubble is good. Flash out from Effort. That is going to keep him alive as Carrier just barely didn't have his flash available. It could have been a moment there as now Paze is in trouble himself. The flash comes in and the barrier is going to save the Corki, but can it save Carrier? That's the question. Is Effort one auto away from dead and Carrier picks it up. Aiming can't follow and it's a solo kill for the Nami.
That's a pretty big win here as well in the bottom lane, but won't be that significant with Paze out of the lane. So it's something, but KT's still winning out on the exchange, as here is BDD a little bit up in the lane. Honestly, he's really not that far up, and there's a ward. It's the shove.
Fantastic shove out of Faker.
And I guess he was thinking, you know, he's not going to hit that. Faker does hit that. He had vision of the Vi, which I didn't even fully realize at the time.
Well, this is the thing. I think you have to flash it, knowing that the Vi is in, like, flash Vault Breaker range.
I will say, I want to give massive credit to Effort in this exchange. Incredibly bold here, low health, plays this well into Carrier, and they look like they are just way more on the same page than whoever.
Sidestep on the Gliddle.
That's massive. That's the one that wins it. But I want to give credit to Effort for being confident in this lane. He looks way more confident than either support before his Cuz.
Yeah, that's a flash in. Faker is going to get a little bit scared here as the final hour comes on down. Perfect is going to help lock down. Well, actually, he didn't even get an assist there, but BDD going to take down Owner. And now Perfect able to dance around and picks up the kill onto the Cassante. The Vayne's on the board. And you can see, Wadid's, do you know Wadid's name is basically Vayne, right?
Yeah. He also did a Vayne cosplay.
Yeah, he has. So it's weird that he was the one telling us not to pick Vayne when obviously it's the right choice in every scenario.
Yeah, it's weird that he would wear sunglasses and clap
like his parents knew that when they named him. I mean, it's Bane, but, you know, it's basically
I'm getting mixed signals.
All right, that's a double bubble from Carrier. Faker is going to deliver a wall over to KT, and this bottom lane is no more. Pei is going to be able to lock down that one. Faker is going to collect the other, and T1 this time have answers.
This is right before Cuz hits level 6. Speaking of Cuz, you know, he comes in here, that shove from Faker, a little bit bizarre there. Not really what he wanted. Cuz flashes back in. BD has his stun ready. This is just an awkward skirmish where T1 are not set up, and also Perfect has the exhaust. Bubble is avoided here, drops the exhaust to buy space, and just kites him out here with all the extra damage from Tibbers. Pretty straightforward. This one, a lot more impressive. Carrier is having a game. You know, a bit of an awkward start, but hits the double bubble here into double wall.
Yep, he's like, check me out when I'm playing a real support.
Yeah.
And it's looking pretty good, as Aiming was just a free kill over to Faker. They're not out of the woods just yet, though. 400 gold is the advantage here for KT. Doran still having a rough time towards his top side of the map, as we can see. Perfect just continuing to try and put on the pressure. He needs to make sure that Doran is as irrelevant as possible because the Vayne isn't going to be doing as much in the later stages of the game. Obviously, I mean, you do scale very, very well. It's just in a team fight, you're not going to be as valuable as there's the all-out, and this can be problematic, although trying to get that kiting to work, and it's looking beautiful here. The flash condemn, and Perfect gets the solo once again in game 2.
The flash condemn angle to get him into the wall. Insane play there from Perfect. Doran just didn't see it coming, doesn't flash it, doesn't flash at all.
I mean, you need your Pathmaker for that ability, right? And if you're going to invest it, then you're just going to die. As KT now looking for a dragon. Let's see whether T1 can stop this one from happening as Owner walks on over and just steals it away. Beautifully done. He'll sacrifice his life for it as cease and desist comes in, and KT says, no, we will continue. And yes, T1 do manage to take the Drake. However, KT once again winning out in the fight.
Hexplate's already done here for Perfect. Pretty insane. Goes Hexplate first, has his boots at the ready.
Yep.
This lane is going to get a lot tougher for Doran.
Indeed. Going to be going invisible a lot in this game. This kiting was beautifully done.
Kiting is so good. I mean, we're watching his mouse movement right now. Look at how, like, it's almost so methodical the way he does it. Like, it's incredible. Flashes here for the condemn into the wall.
Man, not even a reaction as well. As Score is like, that's my boy. Some big grins here on the KT side, but Score this time is not celebrating too much because we know this is a much closer game. T1 going to be able to lock down this dragon here, down 2 health, like you're saying.
And then Owner decides to go in to try to buy some space for his teammates as he's done his job already.
My issue for T1 in this particular draft, having a look now, yes, there's a Vayne situation on the top side of the map, but aiming is Yunara. He does do a lot of late game carrying.
I am of the mindset that with a Vayne that's this fed, the Cassante just doesn't last very long. You don't really have a front line. So who do you pick as T1? If you somehow are able to catch the Vayne, then you still have to deal with the Yunara, and you've used all your CC on the Vayne. And the Yunara is so difficult to lock down in general. I think what needs to happen is FaZe needs to get big, and he needs to get big fast. He's 250 gold ahead right now. He needs to hit that 2-item spike, and they did the fight around like every dragon and hold on to this advantage. And then the Cassante being behind will matter less. At least they got that first dragon. That's actually really significant here for T1.
Yep. And denying the stacking is kind of what they want to do here. Slow the game down, allow their more robust composition to get things done later on when the front to back is going to be a possibility. Like you were saying, I feel like the Vayne is a beautiful pick into the laning phase. But now, Faker is going to turn up, gets that wall into position. Seismic shove going to be avoided, and Perfect is going to die. There is the all-out, and Doran cuts him up. Still, it was a decent attempt, but this is the problem. You get ganked, and then things can kind of fall apart. Let's see what KT can do elsewhere on the map.
Yeah, it's just going to be, for now, plates here and a potential Nocturne gank bottom side, but Owner is already here. This was a play from Faker, not the jungler, so T1 really sturdy on both sides of the map. This is going to force PDD to go over.
Oh, danger. Q getting charged here as KT. They sniff it out. They are not going to overcommit. Paranoia up and available here for Cuz, as Doran is behind the turret now, just trying to get himself back in, and you can see that gold lead really has evaporated.
Yeah, dropped down to half of what it was moments ago. A lot of CS is going to be denied here for Perfect, who does not have teleport.
Well, Tibbers is going to straight up miss that good flash out of Faker, as Tibbers needs to be called back. Yes, please. That's 50 gold. Faker will at least have to invest his flash there, but does get a whole lot of resources out of KT.
I still think that the game state favors KT, but I'm worried for them because T1 are making all the right decisions, right? Like the way that Faker has played now, both through bottom lane and top lane to get them back into it. He's playing this global incredibly well. The Talia Vi is very simple to execute. Again, aiming is very slippery, but you can't just point click on him with the Vi, so that's a good thing for T1 because they can follow up with a bubble. And T1 do have all the tools to win this game. And KT have not been able to turn this lead into a stable lead in this game by any means. So you be a little bit more safe, a little bit more careful with this advantage. Again, it's an advantage, but it's a small one.
Well, you can see Now T1, I mean, Pays is also going to be a huge deal, right? You hit that 2-item spike, and then the Corki is going to be a huge issue come mid-game, and that's when T1 can play around the semi-global of the Weaver's Wall, things like this, to make things happen. A very different story to what we saw in game number 1, but, I mean, Perfect still has an advantage, is still able to put on a lot of pressure here in this game, and we'll just have to see whether he's going to be more relevant than the last time we saw a Vayne into Cassante, which was quite recently at first stand.
Yeah, Keen doesn't like to be reminded of that. The last time we saw a Vayne cosplay out of Bain Kim on the desk was also when Keen played it and lost at the LCK Cup finals. But this is a different time. Perfect is not gonna, we're not gonna have Caster Curse coming through here.
Nope.
Doran went Aftershock, by the way, which I not even pick up on until I just saw it proc right there. It's kind of interesting.
Certainly is. Doesn't feel like it's for lane, especially if you have it active when Silver Bolt is happening.
I do think that Grasp is pretty useless here.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the idea, is just get something else that...
Also, just like, it allows you to be more valuable in team fights if you are incredibly far behind.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, actually.
Does have the Frozen Heart now completed as Paranoia comes down once again, and Faker just rides the wall to safety. There is no opening CC to get him off the wall for a Nocturne, and so therefore you can kind of just do that.
And if you activate it, you know, after the Paranoia is reactivated, you're just out of there.
Cuz though will have the Paranoia back up again very, very soon. Ultimate Hunter there does have a few stacks available.
They're playing the map really well. Like, they get away from that gank. They're able to now take Dragon. Owner still has his ultimate available, so really difficult to team fight here with KT, missing that opportunity onto Faker. And the Weaver's Wall isn't required for them to take the Dragon because they already had full prio, so Faker doesn't really lose anything from this. And this game is slowly but surely falling out of KT's hands, despite a great start.
And this is one of the issues with these Vayne compositions, is you're kind of required to continue putting on pressure, and it's always a target, as Perfect is going to be very pushed up the majority of the time, right? And so you can see, does have to play very carefully when he thinks that Owner is in the area. As the Rift Herald has now spawned, let's see who is going to be looking towards that as aiming rotates over. As these rockets not quite connecting, but then Pays just turns the Gatling gun towards the Yanara, and she goes down to 50% health. Trinity Force now completed for Pays. Large reason as to why a fair bit of damage is occurring.
See what this next fight is going to look like here for KT.
3 seconds on the ulti from Cuz.
Herald is up, and they do have that Vayne with TP now because of the role quest.
Yep.
And this is where really have to be careful if you are aiming. Like, you are the main source of consistent damage here.
Well, that's a great polymorph onto Doran, down to 50% already here. But battle lines have been drawn, and we've mentioned that just a front-to-back team fight should belong to T1. There's the flash in for BDD, though, as they are looking to take them down. Owner's smites have been phenomenal, though, in this game. Still, Cuz goes forward, finds the Wild Growth knockups, and that is BDD locking down the kill onto Owner. Now Doran in a bunch of trouble. The double bubble is so good out of carrier for the disengage.
They do not get the eye. Critically, they do not get the eye. The smite denies KT from getting the Herald, and that bubble saves them, because if the bubble doesn't hit, I think they might at least get one exit kill there, KT. So really big heroics here from both Carrier and Owner in the fight, but they do not secure the eye, and the game state remains relatively similar. But I think denying the eye alone feels like a huge win here for T1.
Yep.
See exactly how low this gets.
Once again, it's just a beautiful smite angle from Owner. I didn't even see what the number went to.
The tidal wave actually denies KT on the follow-up as well. I mean, this is a beautiful wild growth setup for Cuz. Doran gets incredibly low, but is healed up, and he gets out, and that bubble just makes it a free escape. As aiming still had flash, could have actually looked to chase that further, but it's a denial for T1 fans who are having a stressful day here at the Telecom War.
It's certainly looking like a stressful day. And I just I'm kind of rooting for T1 because I just want to see more. When the Telecom War is competitive, it's just the best. And we got gifted it at the World Championship. Faker is very close to just dying. Does throw out the threaded volley, though. Tibbers needs to tank that one up as BDD is still on the chase. The Molten Shield going to speed up the bear, but it's not going to make him fast enough as Faker was skating away. But BDD looking scary here with that Malignant stun.
Yeah, not going to be too impactful either on either side of things, but Faker looks like he's considering even Weaver's walling back to the lane. I'm just going to, this looked weird on the map, just going to surf back. And we'll lose a lot of minions as a result of it, so small advantage there to BDD. Neither player had Flash available, or Faker flashed out of it, so it doesn't have it available anymore. Just talking about the exchange, they're both flashless at the moment. 90 seconds till his dragon spawns. And this is where, I think if you're T1, if you just give this up, you're giving so much scaling to KT. You want to fight and you want to win the fight, and not just walk away with a smite steal.
Yeah, as now you've got Cuz able to get that spell shield off. Ona not committing the ulti here as Pays going down relatively low, but giving back as much as he gets.
I mean, his margins in terms of leads per lane are so tiny. It's only a 500 gold lead here for T1.
I've seen this play before. As Faker is once again going to go down low. BDD with a lot of movement speed finds the Q, and down goes the Talia. There's another wild growth combo here as Cuz will be able to cut down Pays and KT. They come alive.
Pays is just trying to play the game, but it's just not going to happen in this scenario with the polymorph on top.
I want to have a look at the predictions again, Wolf, because I'm pretty sure it was unanimously T1 in this series for everyone in both sides of the broadcast.
Yeah, I didn't see the Korean side, but I think we'll probably get verification that that was the case. As Faker just up too far into Tibbers, he has Malignance, he gets his ult fast. I mean, Owner was nearby.
Yeah, he was trying to get up there, and this is the problem because Owner is now not here.
Exactly, as soon as they know Owner's top side, they set this wild growth play, the polymorph goes down, and Pays is like, I've got Valkyrie, that's all I got.
Yeah.
It's not enough.
Well, now 1 second on this Dragon. T1 are in position. They do have kind of everyone in the vicinity as Cuz could be in an awkward spot. Seismic Shove doesn't connect, he does get rid of that ward. The Dragon has been started. Scuttler getting amongst it as well. Let's see what is going to happen here. 8 seconds on the Paranoia. KT probably wanting to fight around that particular window as now Faker gets off that wall. As Perfect off on the angle, does have to flash to get himself out of the way, but it's a good Vault Breaker. There's the Paranoia finally coming on forward. Cuz has to get out of there though as the final hour helps Perfect try and get to safety. The Dragon is going to be taken down. Great polymorph to deny Ona even more, and he'll be taken out as well as KT. They find themselves a Dragon and take down the jungler.
I think KT just won the game. That was a really snap. I mean, this is what was missing for KT. A lot of Kespa Cup was missing a lot because they didn't have their roster.
They were missing a lot of KT in that
LCK Cup, though, we didn't see snap calls like this. Like, Perfect is the one they collapse on because he's on the flank. He's seen here. And Owner and crew are like, I guess with this Weaver's Wall, we turn onto the Vayne, but the Nocturne actually buys so much space, and the rest of T1 on the other side of the wall, so they can't follow up and do enough damage here. Doesn't even have to exhaust, mind you. He doesn't even have to exhaust here. Then on the other side of the fight, Owner tries to go in for the steal, gets polymorphed and blown up. And this time KT walk away with the objective and a kill. And I just start to think this Yunara is going to be too big to fail later on. The Vayne is already such a problem, as they're going to try to isolate BDD here. He's just going to simply give up this turret, which I think is the wise and correct decision.
Yep. As Perfect once again positioned here towards the bottom side of the map. Now looking to try and make Doran's life a living hell once again.
Doran hates that Perfect guy right now. He's a bully.
Yeah, he certainly is. And this Vayne looks like it's working a little bit better than the last time we saw it, as Doran will at least be able to clear out this wave before there are any issues with turret damage.
At least,
like that.
You know, Doran got some help this game.
Yeah, true.
You know, maybe.
I mean, he's keeping up quite well, right? It's only a 500 gold advantage for Perfect. He's 2-1-3 on this Vayne, and they are at farm parity. I mean, Doran is ahead by a couple as he shoves the wave in.
I just don't know what this Cassante does for this comp, and he's not going to do anything in a side lane, really. And that's where my main concern is. The Swifties are now done for Perfect.
I think the Swifties was a great choice. Allows him to hang out on these flanks a little bit better. As T1 going to break down some of this overgrowth and should be able to deal with this outer turret as well. As Ona moves on in, it's just one extra push. And T1 should be able to take that one down. Give them a lot of extra space here. Already, KT have dealt with the outer in the mid lane themselves. And it is 2 turrets apiece here with the 2,000 gold lead over to KT. They still have control of this game. But I do think that T1, it's not the same situation as game number 1, where it did just look a little bit doomed. This one, I think KT is still going to have to play this one very, very well if they do want to win, especially with Vayne trying to team fight in a composition like this.
I think instead of picking Vayne in a team fight, you have to pick, somehow you have to kill Perfect and make a 5v4 fight happen. Maybe you could also kill BDD, but that seems pretty tough because he is Annie and has inherent safety with his stun and his speed up, right, and his phase rush. Like, it's hard to actually catch this guy at sides, and you're the team that has a global mid laner, but it's not quite the same global power as Nocturne in terms of gank, is they're going for Perfect in sides.
Yeah, there's the cease and desist, and Perfect going to take a bunch of damage here, knocked back with a great Vault Breaker, and yeah, he's just really dead. Faker going to be able to lock down that kill.
What can KT get in return, as BDD also committed his teleport and is unable to save the play? It's like there's going to get plates here, and maybe a Corki.
Yeah,
I don't think so,
looking for pays. That was optimistic, absolutely.
They got the TP out of Faker, so
that is something, and they don't lose anyone else as BDD spots Doran and Ona making their way over as Pathbreaker comes on forward, but it's just going to eat the stun of BDD.
So step one, they got the Vayne, right? This got it the second time in sides. They need to do that before team fight.
Doran takes a bear. Remember, doesn't have a massive amount of magic resist at this point in time, so he takes a lot of damage from BDD as Tibbers is once again chasing down T1. Doran does need to be a little careful.
I don't think KT can turn this into a Baron, but that does hurt the momentum that T1 had just regained slightly from that kill on the Perfect. I think if they can kill Perfect later on in the game and then start a Baron, or kill Perfect before a critical dragon fight, which with this Ocean Soul and KT having one single Ocean Dragon, I don't know if that's ever really going to be on the cards. Like, KT could just opt out, which is why getting that single dragon earlier and winning that fight the way they did felt so huge for them, which is why that was kind of the moment I said KT might have won the game in this exact scenario. Because killing both Aiming and Perfect with this draft in a team fight just doesn't feel realistic. Unless you can shove both of them somehow, right? Or some crazy scenario happens where, like, Carrier gets a crazy double bubble. Because they have wild growth, and whoever survives will likely carry the fight after the CC and the tools are gone for T1. That's my biggest concern. Plus, you have to deal with Paranoia to follow up on that CC, which we saw in that Dragon fight I just mentioned.
I do feel like if T1 sort of get their phalanx in order, right, can stand behind Doran, he tanks a lot of that opening salvo, then there is certainly an opportunity, especially if Ona just keeps stealing away objectives. Of course, the Ocean Dragon is now up and available. The Weaver's Wall comes in from Faker, as does bring her a fair bit of value there, as there's the Paranoia Wild Growth combo into the backline, but Cuz just explodes. The All-Out does come on forward. Great polymorph onto Ona, who will get taken down, and now Aiming is diving forward. BDD getting work done as well, but Pays could be the Quadra here for Aiming, and there it is. Could it be a pentakill as well, as it's Perfect that steals it away, and KT are just gonna run over to the Baron.
A huge play with the Lulu. I've been saying it since LCK Cup. I don't know how this pick isn't just first pickable.
I don't know how effort hasn't been on the best team in the league this whole time.
This is quite simple, right? The way they set this up, as Paranoia gets called here from Cuz, so he can avoid the shove, and he turns that avoid into an engage into all of T1, and then BDD, look at this play as well. Boom, double stun, Aiming gets on the Faker, Pays is down at half health, and it's just KT playing as a team, 5-man unit. And the support here in effort, sure, he played 2 Enchanters back-to-back, but both the performances have been great, and he just looks like he's on the same page. He looks confident, whereas neither Palu nor Ghost, who didn't really even look like a support player half the time, could find those angles here in LCK Cup. Now KT are about to beat the defending champions on Effort's first day in.
Yeah, and, like, get their revenge from the world final. Like, there are so many things that we can talk about here. It's a 5,000 gold lead for KT, and they still have Baron for another 2.5 minutes in this game. The Drake still up and available here as BDD, man, a lot of damage, and has rocketed to the top of the damage dealt after that team fight. And looking for his Zhonya's as Weaver's Wall coming on forward. Cuz going to eat the ulti from Ona. And that, I mean, that spell shield timing was kind of ridiculous. I heard the smite come through. I think he did try to break it with the smite, but it just didn't quite work. Is that what happened? I feel like that's what happened.
I was trying to see, but I'm not 100% sure myself. But the end result is they don't get him, and KT get more on the map.
Yep, Slurkle coming on forward there as well as the polymorph onto Doran means that he cannot even play the game. Another Wild Growth onto the Nocturne, as Doran doing his very best to stay alive. It is the Nocturne falling, but it's Aiming, free hitting, finds an extra one, is now Pays in trouble. Tibbers is going to die, and Pays at least will live in this moment. As Faker just saying hi to his ex-teammate here. As the glitter lance does come down, seismic shove is avoided, but it means he has to walk towards T1. Still, he is going to survive. Effort walks away as now BDD throws in a bunch of damage towards Carrier, but cannot get over that base gate without the flash.
And they still have Baron here. I mean, Perfect is going to take out this inner turret, and there's just no T1 on the map. This is going to be a huge cheer from KT post the play. There's no jungler here for KT, but they don't need one to take this dragon, frankly. The control they have right now, and they have the damage to back it up. In moments like this, Doran is trying to be that front line you talked about, but there's just so much damage with double 80 carry here, and he doesn't have MR. So even though he's itemized against double 80 carry here, BDD does so much to him, he just melts. He's practically doesn't exist in these fights. And when you're behind the 8-ball, it's hard to play this comp like a pick comp. The Vi Talia just doesn't work, and there's too much damage. I think this Vayne pick worked well in the isolated matchup into the Cassante, but also just works well as a big secondary consistent damage threat in team fights.
Not to mention the fact that Doran is a lot smaller than he otherwise would have been. He's died 4 times so far in this game. I mean, obviously has been able to keep up in farm, so hasn't been kept down as much as he possibly could have.
One of the smaller gold differences across the board, but it still doesn't matter.
Yeah, in goes Ona. There's the paranoia to avoid being picked off. Aiming gets himself to safety. Didn't have to use the flash, but did use the ulti. Flash was obviously on cooldown, and so wasn't able to use it anyway. But now doesn't have the extra damage available if T1 does decide to try and force something. 3 minutes on the Baron and 4 minutes on the Drake means that there's not a whole lot to fight for at this particular point in time. Seismic Shove is going to connect there. Beautiful pick here from T1. They take down BDD.
Unfortunately, Baron isn't up.
Yeah,
so it's just going to be a little bit of gold and a little bit more control over your own jungle finally.
Yeah. Buying some space.
But the last 2 picks we saw, this one onto BDD and one much earlier, the pick onto Perfect, came at pretty inopportune times for T1, where getting the pick means, you know, you feel okay about getting your blue buff if you're owner, and that's like, and Faker's like, I'm gonna clear this wave, and Doran's like, maybe I can step across the equator in this game. So it's a win, but it ultimately just is a tiny 300 gold dent into KT's massive lead, and when these real objectives are up, that's when you really need to set these picks, you know, get them to go in. Because I don't think you can 5v5 anymore. If you could get a pick like that before a fight in 5v4, I think you absolutely can do that as T1. I think they have to keep hoping for that. The fact that they were able to make this pick work and punish KT is a good sign, because we know it's possible even 5,000 gold behind. Let's see if they can do it at a more relevant timing, though.
Yeah, my issue is that Aiming's just hit 4 items. This Yunara is very large. Infinity Edge in hand, as well as the Lord Dom, so even Doran is not going to be having a great time. Final Hour is propped here towards the top side of the map, as there's a Paranoia as well. Cuz going to pay a visit to Doran, who will just, do his very best to survive, and it is not going to work. Another kill goes over to this Vayne.
He didn't have exhaust, didn't need it, has it now. So
all right,
it's like, all right, you killed me once in my overextension, KT say, but I'm back, and I'm still pushing, and we're still controlling your jungle.
All right, inner turret is going to fall down here as well, and that lead will extend. 6,000 gold here for KT. Not as big as game number 1, but it is still feeling like they have full control here. As we check out this fight, this was a long time ago as they find BDD.
Yeah, so a while ago, but again, nothing up. Just an overextension, good shove there from Faker. Here, Doran doesn't have any resources. Anybody can help him out. A few Weaver's Wall here, try to make some play on the defensive. It's so expensive, and you're probably not going to save him anyways. Look at how quickly he dies, even with his itemization.
Yep. And it feels like Perfect can just kind of tumble all the time. Now, is he going for a Randuin's? That would be kind of crazy. Warden's Mail has been picked up here. So Perfect just making himself as durable as possible. Paranoia coming down once again. Here is another Wild Growth on top of Cuz. But this time he is going to get isolated. Effort going to get pulled out here by Doran, who is looking to try and take him out. He does keep himself alive for a decent amount of time, and it's 2 kills here for T1. And now the carries don't have quite as much utility, but there's the exhaust out of the Vayne, and Perfect is able to take down Pays. Doran now in a little bit of trouble as Aiming able to sidestep, dashes forward into the rock. rocks. Didn't really want to do that, but they still managed to take down Doran. And Owner is over this wall and decides against going for anything more. It looked good in the beginning for T1, but KT answered.
KT were nowhere near the Wild Growth Paranoia setup to follow up. So it's essentially a donation. Like, watch this again. Look at where Effort and Aiming are right now. Effort flash to try to follow. Aiming's like, it's a Cassante right there. This is essentially freebies, right? And then KT win a 3v5 fight. They're like, all right, well, oops. Yes, we'll 3v5 and destroy you as Owner is alone isolated. They then turn their attention to FaZe because the setup here is so awkward for both sides because of the Raptor Pit, right? The reason why KT can't follow up on the Wild Growth is the Raptor Pit, and the reason why KT then punished T1 is because T1 are kind of stuck split on the other side of the Raptor Pit, and they just get torn to shreds.
Not to mention, I mean, also, things could have been even better for KT if Aiming hadn't have just slid through all of the gravel, which didn't quite necessarily work out. Now KT are looking for Soul Point, triple Ocean Dragons.
And I kind of feel like Ocean is practically worthless for this comp. You know?
I think
it doesn't even
really
do anything for them.
Just for Perfect in a side lane, right? It'll just be kind of really difficult to kill it.
It's kind of tough already.
Yeah. All right, Weaver's Wall coming on forward here as Faker is going to try and play some defense. The bubble connects onto Tibbers as the wall does fall down. This time around, though, the Paranoia doesn't net any kills. However, Cuz doesn't die.
Ultimate Hunter was a mistake.
He does kind of just get to press this button.
It's crazy. Look at his cooldown.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
It's already almost halfway back.
And this Baron is also not long for the world. They have a lot of damage. Perfect isn't even hitting it as in goes Owner. It's the steal from FaZe as the Guardian Angel is going to get procced. I don't think that T1 are going to keep their jungler alive, but Cuz may be dead as well. Does keep himself up with the help of the Mikhails out of Effort. And KT, they'll manage to get a kill. However, T1 by a lot of time by denying that Baron.
This really will, I mean, because only the jungler goes down, this really will be T1 able to wrestle some map control back. So this is pretty relevant in this game. I don't know if it'll save the game, but we'll go watch this again as FaZe over the wall here blasts it. And Owner goes through, goes into his GA, will still die, as he just put his GA together right before this. Cuz has helped survive with all of that from Effort, all of the abilities, the Mikhails you mentioned, as well as the Wild Growth.
There's another Paranoia. As you said, it's got a 2-second cooldown. Is now Perfect. He thinks he's found Faker. It's going to be hard to tumble over those rocks, though, but still, let's have a look at what's happening towards the bottom side of the map as Doran gets a little bit frightened and might be able to take down Cuz. He'll find it! And it's a 1-for-1 on the bottom side.
But another Baron buff is down, and Faker's pushed out of the lane here. So he had Baron Empowered Recall, went into the brush, bought time with his rocks. He gets away, but
kind of crazy that he escaped that. I had a look, I'm like, did he teleport out? What
I also was wondering when I was looking on the minimap, but he just
did mid lane
power recall and left.
All right, well, Aiming now has a GA. That is a little bit frightening. Perfect is building towards item number 4, still getting
he is level 19
things in order. Yeah, level 19 on the Vayne is scary.
This is really well played by Doran, because obviously just is a Nocturne and cannot actually cut through.
Double cannon Baroned up minions here. And that is definitely helping Doran do a bunch of extra damage.
And Nocturne is just always going to struggle to scratch Cassante in these types of moments. Also, Jack Shows was done, I believe, for that as well. So that's going to be what helps Doran get just over the line a little bit there with the extra damage from the cannon minions, who will now go down in this bottom lane. So T1 have bought several new leases on life.
Yeah, this game has gotten silly.
But I still think most of the problems that we've talked about for the last 15 minutes persist. And they need to get a pick before a team fight, or even like when they got 2 picks because Nocturne and Lulu just kind of gifted. They were not able to win the fight. So when we get to this next Dragon in 2 minutes, or the Baron that comes much later, they need to do something, set up a pick before that. Or like maybe Corki is big enough now that he could help front to back, or Vayne overextends into the rocks, or some error happens. But
I mean, honestly,
KT are not in it really, but they're still alive.
Yeah, the thing is, like, if KT do mess it up, things can go horribly wrong quite quickly, you know? Because if Perfect is caught out, then it's only Aiming that's really able to carry these fights forward, and they have a lot of abilities to lock down that single target. Namely, cease and desist out of Owner,
You got to kill aiming twice, by the way.
That is a good point. But KT lying in wait here, and they have a lot of control of the map right now. Perfect is on a ward.
If KT don't have, like, if they don't use their wild growth for a cuz engage, they could also just use it to empower aiming, which hasn't really been how they've been using it at all this game.
Yeah.
And that's something that T1 will have to deal with, is a wild growth aiming that will revive, while also a Vayne is shooting at them.
Well, aiming is walking forward now. Regrets it immediately.
That's a pretty big win for T1. Like, he does have 3 Ocean Dragons.
Yeah, the Ocean Dragon problem is certainly one. All right, Cuz now in an awkward spot here, but the rest of T1 not going to go for it as aiming just walks on over. There's the paranoia. Wild growth not quite there yet, and he does go down to his GA, but now Perfect taking matters into his own hands. The bubble not going to quite connect as T1. They just walk it off. They eat a bunch of cooldowns.
Owner flashed there. Faker doesn't have Weaver's Wall. I think this should just be a 4 Ocean Soul here for KT.
Goodness. Well, let's just see. Looks like KT are looking for an opportunity. We've turned the lights off. A lot of suspense now, but look at Doran's health bar. Kind of ridiculous. As the Drake has now spawned.
Cuz will have his ultimate potentially by the end of this fight.
Yeah. Oh dear. Just Ultimate Hunter things, as well as the item build. That's all right, T1, they are now on this dragon looking for Soul Point themselves. It's Perfect, could be caught out, good Q. Gonna connect from Doran, but the exhaust is going to be there. That is the secure on Soul Point for T1 now, as there are 6 Drakes for both sides. We're still waiting for another one.
Wild growth
Teamfight
still
hasn't
down.
really happened just yet. As in they go, Doran looks for the opportunity. There's the Silver Bolt, so a lot of damage onto this tank. As they turn the lights off defensively here, there's the bear going down. Cease and desist. His owner goes down to his GA. Doran getting down very, very low. So it's hard to be that front line. But now Pays gets on in there. Cuz surviving by just barely. And now Pays having to get out of there. The Slurkle not doing too much. And KT stand tall.
KT, they botched the early part of the fight, but they had so much longevity. And you could really feel those Ocean Dragons ticking through a little bit through this. But also beyond that, so many tools coming online. The wild growth at the last possible second, cause the second paranoia is aiming.
Aiming is going to go down to the GA. Is Perfect flashes over. Not going to get bubbled this time as he tumbles into the brush. Carrier also going to be going down, and it's a double for Perfect. I think that's POM for the gentleman on the top side of the map if KT are able to close this one out as BDD sidesteps the seismic shove.
In 5 seconds here.
Oh, it's not a time to be dying here in this game.
To end. I mean, the TP here from Perfect says we have enough to push down. I mean, these death timers are so long, 40 minutes into the game. Cuz is going to clear this mid wave, and they'll have 2 waves coming through eventually, but I don't know if they even need it. Cuz could just come up and join his teammates as Fakers is trying to buy time.
Yeah, Dash Cannon from BDD not going to be able to catch up to this Talia.
20 seconds on Pays. They need to somehow buy time for that.
Double 80 carries, man. These Nexus turrets do not last very long at all. T1 are going to have to try and commit to something here as the paranoia comes on through. Gets on in there as Cuz. Decent spell shield there at the same time as they take down Owner. And KT, I think they've done it! 2-0 in the telecom war! Man, what a time to be wrong!
And Perfect hits level 20 in the final fight and puts a huge, huge dent into the hopes and dreams of T1 fans everywhere who thought that loss to D+ might have just been a fluke. Surely they'll come back strong. Telecom War, we're the favorites, but it's always a big win if you could win the Telecom War. If you're T1, if you had walked away from this and you're the 2-0 winner, feels like you got a lot of wind in your sails. Not one person predicted this, but KT with effort in tow. For the second game, a huge win as well. And give this man
from LCK Cup to now.
And also just Perfect finding consistency, right? And 2 good matchups for him.
Yeah. It's just all of KT played well. And I don't know what it necessarily means. I'm not going to get enthusiastic. We're going to need to see a bunch more tape of this squad, but the more competitive my LCK is, the happier I am. And this is a really cool start for KT. And T1, obviously, back to the drawing board, but I mean, they've lost matches before, and it has not really been an issue. They can take these things in stride, and we'll see how they develop as the season goes on as well. BDD topping the damage charts is not what I had on my bingo card in this game.
Yeah, he did Tibbers a lot, and he did hit a lot of big stuns.
He did also hit Doran a lot.
But
He didn't have a lot of magic resist.
He also was playing in a game where there was a Yunara and a Vayne, so...
Yeah.
kind of thought that aiming would top for sure, but I also thought Perfect would be a little bit closer to aiming. Perfect does pick
There
up
he is.
player of the match, which I think would be a crime if he didn't get it. Sure, I know there are some votes that could go elsewhere, but if the overall voter base didn't give it to him, I would have been upset personally.
I would have as well.